Hello everybody! Welcome back to the stream. It's Tuesday. Tuesday? So you know what that means. It's time for Perpetual Motion, the class where we do not stop moving. Oh my god, time has no meaning. Hi everyone. I hope you're all doing well today. I'm doing pretty well. I'm really frustrated right now. I just watched so this is a YouTube channel that I follow called How to ADHD. Which is a really wonderful channel and has a lot of really excellent strategies for anyone out there who does struggle with ADHD, and a lot of them are transferable to people with anxiety as well. So it's a great channel, but she just posted a video that was this just really emotional rant about the healthcare system and how not friendly, full stop, it is, how not ADHD friendly specifically, but also just, woo, hey, there's sunlight. Didn't think you were going to come out to play, but you did. Guess I shouldn't be surprised. But, just, this is a person who has had her ADHD diagnosis for, 25 years and has been on the same medication for, a decade at least, and still even now has to go through all of these hoops in order to get her meds, and can only get them, on a month-by-month basis because she's using a stimulant and it's a controlled substance. And when you move and you change insurance companies, and insurance companies frequently will require pre-auths before they'll let you get the medications. Like, well, what do you do? What she was talking about was, do I wait, a week and a half at least with no medication and hope that my insurance company does the right thing? Or do I pay out of pocket for the super expensive medication, and, just eat that cost? And it's just, I worked in healthcare and health insurance for over a decade, and it is the kind of thing where I am very aware that there are so many people who work in insurance, in health insurance, who are legitimately trying to help people's health, and really do care and really are trying to help people. And I am also acutely aware of the fact that the system that we have in the United States is so fucked up and is so unfriendly and difficult to navigate. And I've had my own issues navigating the healthcare system, particularly, when during times when I've not had insurance and have had to do out-of-pocket payments, and make sure that I was getting the correct rate and not getting overcharged and double charged and all of this stuff. And I have the experience in the industry to be able to advocate for myself effectively. And even with that experience, it's still super stressful, and it's still so hard to figure out what to do, what you can do, what you should do. And so if you don't even have that experience, then I can only imagine how hard it is to navigate, this ridiculous system that we have set up. So it hit me, definitely. It hit me pretty hard. So, but we're here. We're gonna work out. It's gonna be awesome. I'm 15 years old. Can I be here? Sure. We're just doing an exercise class, so welcome. All right, my friends. So it is time to start class. So today's perpetual motion, which means that even when we are not doing a work interval, we are not ever doing a rest where we just stop and sit and chill and all of that. We are moving the whole time, okay? So our active rest exercise is generally cross tracks, and I will demonstrate that when we get to doing them. And there are some modifications that you can do as well if it's easier, and I will demonstrate those as well. But just remember, be prepared. As soon as we kick off the warm-up, we do not stop moving for the rest of class. You do still want to drink water, but make sure that your water bottle is available while standing, so you're not having to try and bend over to get it off the floor or something like that. Just make sure that it's easily accessible, because you're going to be standing and moving while you're trying to drink. All right, so let's do our pre-class checklist. We've got our water bottles. Speaking of water, yeah, water. There's a huge wildfire over in Grand Junction right now, and it has been super hazy over here. That's like, for anyone who doesn't live in Colorado, that is on the other side of the mountains from where I am, but we're still getting smoke and haze and bad air quality over here. It's crazy. It's not fun. So we got our water bottles. We've got our comfy clothes. We've got our mats set up. If you are using a fitness wearable, let's turn them on now. High intensity interval training is the setting that you can use. I'm still on my rest week, so I'm going to be taking it a little easy for myself, but just because I am doesn't mean that you should. Yeah, you're here to work. Woo! All right. Okay, my friends, let us have some fun. Let's do some exercise, and just whatever we're coming into class with, whatever frustration, whatever, stuff we're dealing with, let's see what we can do to move through it by doing an intense class. So let's head over to our mats and get ourselves started. Oh my God, everybody has got to stop messaging me. I am teaching, people. Don't you realize this? All right, my loves. Everybody, onto your mats, onto your backs, 1 foot cross over the opposite knee. We're gonna start with our usual hip rocks and bridges. So as soon as you hear that horn go, that was the horn going. I recognize I did not turn this up super high, but we are moving. So make sure that you are moving. So here we are. If you have never done class before, we've got this warm-up sequence, which is about a 16-minute sequence, and the operative word is warm-up. So we are not kicking off class by ramping up our intensity immediately to 11. We are booting up systems. There are a lot of complex systems that have to activate for us to be able to exercise. Our brain needs to know to send the appropriate electric signals down to our muscle fibers. Our energy production systems in those fibers need to activate and start breaking down fuel sources so that we have the energy. All right, switch feet, keep doing what you're doing. We need to warm up our muscles a little bit, get them used to moving, and just really getting ourselves into the right space so that we can safely exercise over the course of the next hour. So I'm not here looking for you to be, rocking your hips way up there into the sky and doing the highest bridge that you've ever done. All of this right now, we're starting out, we're still pretty chill, and even though we will add a little bit more energy into it as we go through the sequences, we're still not here to go to the top of our intensity. Save that energy, because you're going to need it over the course of the rest of class. All right, we are now rolling onto our side, and we are doing our best Jane Fonda impression. So we are lifting that top leg, staying on our side, balanced on that hip. You want your body in a nice straight line, okay? So some of the things that will help with that, make sure that your core is engaged so that you can maintain this position without rocking back and forth. and make sure that the glute of the working leg is engaged as you lift the leg. If you've never done that before, it will probably feel like you are pulling the leg backwards. I promise you're not. It is actually helping you to line up your body in a nice straight line. So I'm not asking you to pull your leg backwards. I'm just asking you, all I've done is engage those muscles, and it helps to pull my body into alignment. All right, now we're taking that top foot, putting it flat on the floor in front of the bottom knee, and we are lifting the bottom leg. So our aspirational position for this leg here, not the working leg, but the stabilizing leg, is foot is flat and my knee is pointing straight up to the ceiling, okay? So not caving forward like this, not with my heel off the ground like that. If you are not able to hit this position yet, that's fine. You know, you may need to work up to that. You may need to engage more musculature in your hip socket to try and keep your knee better positioned up towards the ceiling. So you may have to expend a little bit more effort to try and maintain that position. You may not be there today, and that's totally fine. It's where we want to be, but if we're not there, we'll get there. All right, now take that top foot, put it behind the bottom knee, still flat on the floor, and we're still lifting that bottom leg. So here we are. This is our last leg exercise on this side before we move over to the other side and do all three of these again. This is our most relaxed position. You know, our balance is easy because we've got this nice stable position and we're not really having to activate any musculature here to keep this leg in this position. So we're really just focused on lifting this bottom leg in towards the midline over and over again. It's starting to feel a little fatigued because this is the second interval in a row that it's had to work, and it's going to have one more interval after this. So it's going to probably feel a little fatigued after that as well, and that is a-okay. All right, just, you know, it's just working hard. All righty, here we go. Moving over to our other side, we're going to do the same three exercises again. So starting with the Jane Fonda. It's all I will ever be able to call it now. Jane, if you're watching, thank you. Okay, so we're chilling here. If you're still struggling to get a sense of whether your body is in that straight line that we're looking for right now, one thing that can help, hey, hopefully you have some sort of a mat that you are exercising on that has a nice straight edge. You can set your body up along that edge and get a better sense of what it feels like to have yourself lined up in this position. So if you are not positive that you are actually maintaining that straight line, then I recommend trying that out. All right, top foot flat on the floor in front of that bottom knee. We're lifting the bottom leg. So as longtime students of this class know, my right hip is much less flexible than my left hip. So I definitely have to engage some of these muscles to keep my knee in that upright position, okay? Otherwise, if I'm not, my knee just starts to cave forward like that. So object lesson and a good initial reminder that we all have different levels of ability in different limbs for different exercises. It's really wild. We are not balanced creatures, okay? It's not that we have one side where everything is uniformly weaker, one side where everything is uniformly stronger, and it's definitely not that we are uniformly strong and or weak on both sides. All right, foot behind that bottom knee, still lifting that bottom leg. So, you know, for my own body, my left hip is much more flexible than my right hip, but my left arm is much weaker than my right arm for strength training exercises, and that's because I've had shoulder issues on my left side for a while. So my left arm just has not been able to engage as much, to train as much, and build up that strength. I generally have better balance. If I'm balancing, up on the ball of the foot, I generally have better balance on my left leg than on my right leg, because I used to sprain my right ankle a lot when I was a kid. And that obviously weakened the ankle somewhat. So, start to learn these things about yourself. Start to notice where the little imbalances are. All right, we are now on our stomachs, forearms planted on the ground. Oh, I just gave myself a nice little chiropractic adjustment because we are doing scorpion twists, starting to wake up our backs. We're moving into the back and hip flexibility portion of the warm-up, okay? And you want to make sure, no matter what else, that your elbows are staying planted on the ground. They are not lifting up as you twist. And maybe that means that you can't twist as far as you want to, and that's okay. But if you are like, oh, I can get all the way over here and all I had to do was lift my elbow up to do it, then you're doing the exercise incorrectly. And what is our bare minimum for this class? Our bare minimum consists of 3 things: starting on time, stopping on time, and doing the exercise correctly. All right, we are standing up. We're taking our imaginary PVC pipe above our head, and we are just doing these nice, big torso rotations. Changing directions every couple of rotations, okay? So you want to make sure you're evening yourself out, because we're only doing 1 timer's worth of this exercise. So it's not going to be the kind of thing where we're able to do all one side for 1 minute and all the other side for the other minute, okay? So make sure that you're, I generally change directions every 2 rotations, I would say. And that gives me nice evenness for the exercise. We're still holding those poles, unmoving above our heads. We're not moving our arms around. We're initiating movement from our hips, not with our arms. All right, and now, still holding that imaginary pipe above your head, and we are doing some squats. Okay, so this is our first opportunity to check in on our squat form. So you want to make sure that your knees are going straight over your feet at all points during this exercise. Okay, so if you can come down just fine, but your knees start to cave in as you stand, then narrow your stance a little bit. Okay, I want you to really practice. My knees are straight over my feet at all points when I am in the squat position. And then as you build out that strength, then you can start to move your stance a little bit wider and practice that, and then make it a little bit wider until you can get back to about shoulder width for the arms. Legs. Oh boy. All right, my friends, our imaginary pipes are down, and now we are here doing our Samson stretches. So nice deep lunge, straight leg in the back, reaching both arms straight up above us. We're not trying to reach them behind us. So there will be a natural curve to the back, but we're not trying to do a back bend, okay? And you want to make sure that your hips are staying flat forward. No matter where you are, we are not opening out our hips into a warrior 2 or anything like that, okay? So keeping your pelvic bones pointing forward no matter where you are in the exercise, okay? Oh, sink into that stretch. Except don't, because now we're going to come over here, take this nice wide stance here. All right. Again, knees straight over the feet, and it helps because we have our hands on our knees, so that helps us to keep them safely in position. And we're just bending one shoulder in towards the midline, then the other. And we're just alternating between them. Our shoulders are the only things that are moving, all right? We're not bouncing up and down out of the squat. We're not letting our knee come along for the ride as we bend a shoulder in, all right? So only the shoulder is moving, and otherwise I am just stock still down here, okay? Any micro balance adjustments I'm making with my ankles and nothing else. All right, woo! We have reached the cardio portion of our warm-up. So the good news is we're almost done with the warm-up. The still good news but more challenging news is once we are done with the warm-up, we will not be stopping movement. We will be going immediately into our active rest exercise, which is cross jacks, and I will show you what that should look like, okay? I'll give you some modifications, some different options that you can try out depending on what feels best for you, okay? And know that I mean it when I say you can use modifications, but also know that I mean it when I say you need to keep moving for all of class, all right? Even if I stop up here on your screen, you don't stop. All right, now for kick throughs. So coming down, kicking one leg across, I'm up on one arm, my standing knee pointing straight up at the ceiling, leg 90-degree position, not dropping my butt down, and then come through the center and to the other side, and we're going back and forth and back and forth. If you have not done that before, take that exercise really slowly and deliberately, okay? It has a lot of moving parts. It's definitely our most complex warm-up exercise, so if you haven't done it before, just slow and steady. You go, okay, all right, I'm here, push through, now I'm here, and go back and forth like that, okay? But take it easy. Again, still warming up. All right, last but not least, we have burpees. Remember, we do a wave push-up for our burpees, and then a nice victory clap at the top. So wave push-up, I let my hips come down, then I bring my chest down. I've got my elbows really close to my body, not letting them fan out. Push back up, jump my feet forward, and jump and clap above my head. And this is our last warm-up exercise. So as soon as you hear the horn go again, we will go immediately into our cross jacks. And I'll show you what that looks like. So you have warmed up 15, 16 minutes, gotten yourself ready for a good class, ready to move, ready to groove. All right, there was that horn. So we're standing and we go immediately into cross jacks, okay? So, sorry, I have to start my rest period timer. So this is the hardest version of the active rest, and it's not that hard, all right? Feet jump out, feet jump in, one crossed in front of the other. Hands also go out and then in, and you're just alternating, all right? If that's a little too much, I've had students do the arms, but just sort of hop from foot to foot. And I've had students, just sort of go side to side like that. All of that's fine. All of those modifications are fine. Just do not stop moving, all right? That is the one non-negotiable. Woo! I'm tired. Yeah, it's an intense class. That's why, honestly, when I say, if you're new to class, when I say do the bare minimum, I truly, truly mean it, because that will give you more than enough of a workout just focusing on Starting on time. Every time that timer horn goes, I am moving. Stopping on time. I don't stop until I hear the ending horn. And form. I talk a lot about form in this class. So really, if you just focus on those three things, don't focus on putting a lot of power, a lot of speed, nothing like that. Focus on the bare minimum. You're going to get a great workout. And you're not going to traumatize yourself about the class. Because that's the other thing that I see happen all the time is, you know, a new student comes into class and they're feeling really pumped and really jazzed. And they're like, all right, I'm going to give it my 100%, my 110%. And class kicks their butt. And then they never come back. And it's like, well, that's not our goal. Our goal is to find something that we want to do more than once. Because as my mentor says, one class is a trauma, two or more is a habit. So bare minimum, if you're new to class or if you're just coming back after an absence, bare minimum. If you've been with me for a while, all right, you need to be pushing yourself. But, all right, my friends, let us see here. Okay, so we're going to be doing a lot of perpetual motion sets today. Don't forget to drink your water. We're going to start with a perpetual motion set where each work interval will be 1 minute long. We're going to have 3 exercises. We're going to go through it 3 times each, okay? So, first exercise is going to be alternating penchés. Forgive me for the dance terminology. It's what I default to when I don't know what else to call something. All right, so I'm going to step on one foot, and I am going to let my chest come forward and let the other leg come up. I'm basically moving forward until I am in a T position. My hips are still pointing forward down at the ground, not opening up. And then I stand, and then I go down on the other side, all right? And we're just going to be alternating between these two. We're not moving super fast, okay? Because this is balance position, so we don't want to be trying to fling ourselves down over and over again. Then we're going to do boat rocks. So we start in this pike's position, but I'm engaging my ab muscles so that it rounds out my lower back. So imagine if you need an object lesson, just imagine you got punched in the stomach. What do you naturally do? Well, you engage those muscles and they push backwards, you know? So we're creating that rounded lower back so we can rock onto our back and then back up into the balance, okay? And we're keeping those core muscles engaged the whole time to maintain that curvature. Because if I'm here with a flat back and I try to roll back, ow, suddenly I'm stuck, okay? And then our third exercise, I want to do a turtle jump. I do. So we're going to rock up onto our shoulders, then up onto our feet like this. If you have trouble getting onto your feet with just momentum, you can use a hand to push yourself up. Once you're on your feet, just jump, and again, jump, and again, jump, okay? And that's what we're doing. All right, so we've got our exercises, alternating penchés, boat rocks, and then turtle jumps. So I'm going to start our timer, and as soon as you hear the sound, I know this is tiring to think about because you're still over here cross-checking, but as soon as you hear the starting sound, you are beginning with those penchés. Don't stop cross-checking though until you hear that sound, okay? So this is not the kind of thing where we're chilling until we hear it. We are still moving, okay? All right, so as soon as you hear it, we begin with the penchés. So, hey, so you are coming out of your cross jack and going into these penchés. So now is a good time for me to talk about what starting on time means when you're doing a perpetual motion class or a perpetual motion set. even if it's not a perpetual motion class. You know, because when we talk about starting on time and we're doing like a Tabata interval, it's super simple because you're always starting out of a rest. So you always have time to be like, okay, here I am, I'm prepped, I'm ready, there's the horn, and I am moving. But when you are doing perpetual motion, you are always coming out of some other exercise. So for this just now, you were coming out of here. So what does starting on time mean when I have to keep doing that movement until the horn goes? What it means is we are minimizing the amount of time that it takes us to move from one exercise to the next. So you do not want to be trying to sneak a rest in when you are transitioning. You want to use as little time as possible. And for most of these, you probably don't need more than a second to get into position. But if you do, that's okay. Just recognize that your goal is minimize the amount of time. So maybe if today it took you 3 seconds to get down into boat rocks from the penchés, next time we do class, see if you can get that down to 2 seconds. And recognize too that the amount of time it takes will never be 0 because that's not how physics works. And that it is also going to depend on what exercise you're currently doing and what exercise you're moving into. So just then, going from boat rock to turtle jump is super simple, okay? And when we get to the end of the turtle jump interval, super simple to then go into our penchés, okay? So the more familiar you get with the exercises, the easier it is for you to tell the fastest pathway from one to the next, okay? And a lot of that comes with practice. It comes with just taking this class a lot and understanding, you know, where your body is in space, which seems like an obvious thing, but is not really something that many of us are trained to do, especially if you did not grow up, you know, as a dancer or on doing some type of sports activity, martial arts, you know, a lot. If you do any of those types of activities, then you learn a lot about what it feels like when your body is in different positions in space. And so if somebody comes to me and says, you know, I want you to take a wide 4th position, I know how to get there without having to think about it. Or when I come to you and I say, you know, I want your feet hip width apart, I can basically step into that at this point without having to shuffle around and think about where it is. That's after years of training. So if you're just coming to exercise, if you haven't done it in a long time and you're feeling a little rusty, learning that spatial awareness is something I talk about a lot. You know, not only because it's useful just so that we're not knocking into things when we're doing these classes, especially because most of us are in our living rooms and so we're not, you know, we don't have a huge amount of space, but also just so that when I tell you, okay, you want to make sure that your hips are staying flat and straight, you know what that feels like, and you're not accidentally opening a hip out to the side, okay? So as you take class, as you get more confident with different exercises, start to really try and hone in on what does it feel like in my body when I am doing a particular exercise. Hang on one second. Is this really? Oh my God. The AC in my apartment is just not effective. Shocking, I know. But, oh, how is everybody? How is everybody doing? We are on Ooh, okay, so we're on our second round of the turtle jumps, which means that when that horn goes again, we are going to go into our final round of these 3 exercises. So just from an energy conservation perspective, know that that's where we are. Know that if you're going to push a little bit harder, it's going to be in this last set, but also remember that when the set ends, we come right back up to our cross jacks, our little jumpy kicks, our side to side, whatever we're doing to keep moving throughout class, okay? So this class really takes a marathon mindset rather than a sprint mindset. We initiated movement at the beginning of class with the warm-up, and we are not stopping that movement until the final timer at the end of this hour. So we need to have that, I call it the marathon mindset, because that's exactly what you're doing in a road race situation. You know, your goal is you cross the starting line and you do not stop moving until you have crossed the finish line. And that is our goal with class today. It is really intense. We are not used to doing that type of long form movement in a class that is also high intensity interval training. It's not something that we think about a lot. So it takes really solid energy management, paying attention to where and how you are pushing yourself. Again, this is why, you know, we want to push ourselves. We do. We want to challenge ourselves. But we also want to be able to still be moving when we hit the end of class, okay? And it's a fine line. It's really more art than science to figure that out. And sometimes you do have to overpush yourself just to figure out, in terms of energy, just to figure out where that line is for you right now. And then, you know, as you get more confident, more skilled, then you get the excitement and the pleasure of coming into class one day and doing perpetual motion and moving the whole time and then going, wow, that was a lot easier than I've ever felt it be before. Holy crap, I'm getting better at this. I'm getting stronger at this, you know? And that is just such an exciting feeling. And it's one of my favorite things, honestly, about doing this work, is getting to have those exciting moments where you're like, holy crap, my body is so much more powerful than it was, you know, a week ago, a month ago, a year ago. It can do all of this stuff that I really never thought that it could do. And that's me. I'm doing it. I'm the one who's able to do all of this stuff that I never thought that I could do. So always, you know, pay attention to the art and the science of all of this, of figuring out how much energy to expend. And remember that even if today isn't perfect, it's still useful, you know? It is still helpful. You are still growing as a fit person. You are still getting better, getting stronger, and that is awesome. Even on the days when we're like, man, I just feel so wiped, I can barely move right now. You're here and you are moving. And that is honestly, that's step one. And if you can do that, then you'll be amazed at where your body will eventually get to. Oh, all right. Everybody's doing their cross jacks. Hopefully, you're also drinking water. Recognizing that you may find it a little more difficult to drink water as you're bouncing around a lot more, but I believe, I have confidence. Gotta demonstrate my own good behaviors. All right, so we're gonna do another perpetual motion set. This time, the intervals will only be 45 seconds, okay? So we're shaving 15 seconds off that work interval. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And here are our 3 exercises. It's really only 2 exercises, just doing first one side, then the other for one of them. So the first exercise is going to be a held sumo squat. So I'm coming down basically almost to that position that I was in for that warm-up exercise, making sure my knees straight over my feet. I'm not putting my hands on my knees though. I'm bringing my hands and my forearms together, and I'm just holding right here for 45 seconds, okay? It's really intense. You need to make sure that your core is engaged because you want your back to be mostly up and down as best as you can manage it. You don't want your knees caving in. So if you need to not have your feet turned out as far as I have my feet turned out, that's fine. If you need to have your feet like this to hold this position, totally fine, okay? Again, it's about keeping your knees straight over your feet. And this time we don't have our hands to help lever us, so we have to make do, okay? Then we're gonna do side planks from the elbow, okay? So, no Siri, oh my God. So I'm coming up onto this elbow. I'm keeping my shoulder straight over the elbow, so I have a nice 90-degree angle between elbow and floor. Other arm straight up the ceiling. I've got my feet one on top of the other, stacked, and I'm just holding here. Don't let those hips start to sink down, okay? They need to stay up the whole time. And then when the horn goes, we just come and do it on the other side, okay? So those are our exercises. We've got the held sumo squat, and we've got the side plank on the elbow. So everybody cross jack back to your mats, and as soon as you hear that timer, you get down into that squat position, all right? So we're jumping, and we are squatting, all right? You are gonna need to engage all the muscles around your hips, okay? Visualize, almost feel as if the muscles are sort of swirling back in this direction, curving back that way. If you can feel that, it helps to then keep your knees open, keep them safely over your feet. Remember, we've engaged the core. We want our back as straight up and down as possible. There'll be a little bit of an angle to it just by virtue of the position, but we don't want to be hunched, okay? We want straight. All right, and now coming immediately down, and you are in your plank position, okay? Check on where your shoulder is. So we want our shoulder to be nice and stable. It is strong. It's got a lot of muscles coming into it. We want them activated. So our shoulders are ball and socket joints, obviously. That's why they're so movable and flexible. And most of the time, that's really helpful for us. But we need to also be able to stabilize them. We need to be able to hold them strong and steady. And so that's why we do things like side-to-side planks or these side elbow planks. Really practice. I don't want my shoulder going anywhere, all right? I don't want to be able to sink into that joint, move it around. When I'm up here, this is one just unmoving line from my shoulder down to the ground, okay? And that way, we strengthen it, we keep them safer. And then when we're doing, weight training, free weights and dumbbells and stuff like that, then we're better able to protect our shoulders when we're trying to heft heavy things over our heads, which is how I injured this thing. So I really just don't want you to end up having to go through that. There's a lot of learn from my mistakes so you don't have to experience them in teaching class, but it's important because we want to be able to be as active and as mobile as we can be for as long as we can be, and building exercise into our routines is a great way to do that. But if we are not training ourselves to move safely, then we end up setting ourselves up for injury, and an injury can become a chronic injury so quickly, my friends, so quickly. And we want to protect against that. And quite frankly, many of us, most of us probably, were not well trained to move and exercise safely when we were growing up. We tend to have our highest periods of activity be when we're in school, because those are the times when you are under the auspices of an organization that can require you to move, required PE classes and team sports and dance and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And unfortunately, a lot of coaches and teachers in those situations are not helping to train you how to be safe, how to really focus on form, so that even when you're getting tired, you're still defaulting to the correct form. How to listen to the signals that your body is sending you so that you stop what you're doing before you injure yourself, figure out what the issue was, whether you need rest, whether there was something wrong with the form. This terrible, pernicious concept of no pain, no gain is just absolutely awful, because it teaches people to not pay attention to your body's pain signals, which frequently are your body going, oh my God, please listen to me. You're about to hurt yourself, and I'm trying desperately to stop it from happening. So the more focus that we can put on safe and smart movement, on form, on learning to listen to our bodies, learning what those signals feel like, what the difference is between, a pain that is, oh, awesome, I worked out really hard yesterday and now my muscles are sore from that and that feels really good and satisfying, versus that pain is really hard and horrible and it feels like it's an injury or on the cusp of being it. When you are able to make that determination, you are going to be much safer, and you're going to be able to move for a much longer period of time. And we don't want to get injured. Obviously, injuries themselves are frustrating and unenjoyable, but it also means that you have to put a stop to your exercise for a while. It means that, when you get back to it, you have to regain some ground, because our bodies do start to detrain after we take, time away from our activities, and it means that it may be a one and done healing process, or you may have just created a situation that's going to lead to a chronic injury that you'll have to deal with for the rest of your life. And that impacts our mobility for sure. So the more that I can do to really help you understand the importance of form and of listening to your body, the happier I will be. It is always my goal as an instructor. Fun and enjoyment, absolutely, and also safety, intelligence, and intentionality in where we're moving, how we're moving, so that we can keep doing class together for a long time. Hey, did you go back into cross jacks? Because that's what you're supposed to be doing. I know that I am here on the floor, but you should be doing your cross jacks. I'm so proud of you, by the way. I know this class is no joke, but you are doing a great job. All right, my friends. Our next perpetual motion set is only 30-second work intervals. Yeah, So much easier, right? So here are our 3 exercises for that. First, we are going to have our alternating one-legged squats. So we're going to come down here and start in this position. So one leg totally bent, knee over the foot, foot's kind of turned out, my other leg is straight. And then I'm going to push up on this leg just far enough to where I can straighten it and start to bend this one, and then come down here. And we're just going to go back and forth over and over again, okay? Woo! It's a hard one. It's a hard one. I'm suddenly remembering that I'm supposed to be resting this week, so dang it, Blanche. Calm down. I know you want to exercise. See? I understand. I understand how hard it can be to try and hold yourself back when all you want to do is really push, okay? And I have to remind myself all the time, you know? So don't feel bad if you forget that and then you go, oh man, I really used up too much energy early on in class. Don't feel bad about that. We all do it. And it's great that you're having so much fun and you're so excited about pushing your body. Just, just go, well, that was silly of me. I'm still awesome, but, maybe next time I'll have a better handle on where my energy is. So now we're going to do TikToks. That's our second exercise. So my arms are straight, hands together in this pike position. My arms are on one side of my knees. I'm going to extend back just far enough so that I can move them to the other side, then up and up and up and up, okay? And then third exercise, what is the third exercise? Burpees. Hey, so we've done burpees. You know what burpees are. We did them in our warm-up, so you should be all set for burpees. So those are our exercises. We've got the alternating one-legged squat, we have got TikToks, and we've got burpees. So get ready. As soon as you hear that horn going, we will be going. Remember, only 30 seconds, which is super awesome. So you're over here. It's going to be hard to get into this next position. So you really, again, pay attention to how you need to move through space, okay? Always paying attention to that. And paying attention, again, pay attention to the tactile sensation of the surfaces that you're on. I tend to exercise barefoot. Sneakers are also okay. They just give you an extra layer of padding that you have to sort of move through before you can really sense what the surface is that you're on. The only thing I do not recommend, and in fact actively try to recommend against, is working out in socks, especially on mats, on wood floors. You're in a slippery surface, basically, and you're upping the likelihood that you are going to go flying, you're going to injure yourself in some way. So I recommend either bare feet or sneakers. And while my preference is bare feet, not everybody can do that. If you have feet issues, if you have plantar fasciitis or something like that, or you have ankle issues that require a little more stability, there are plenty of reasons, or you just don't enjoy the sensation. All of those totally valid reasons to work out in sneakers. Just please make it one or the other. Do not go down to socks, because even in bare feet, this mat can kind of move around on top of the puzzle pieces, and if I'm not paying attention, then suddenly the mat moves somewhere I'm not expecting and I go flying. So really try and pay attention to where you are and to how you can avoid injuring yourself. Oh my goodness. All right. So we are on TikToks, I believe, right now. Yes, we're TikToking away. Our second time through out of 3. Very exciting. Oh my God. I love it. So Siri, decides to turn herself on every once in a while because she's annoying like that. And just then thought that I was talking about the app TikTok and not this exercise. And suddenly I'm realizing that if you're new to class and don't realize that I call them TikToks because you're sort of moving back and forth like second-hand counting on a clock, that you might well have thought that I had named this exercise after the app as well. I didn't, but man, now I'm not going to be able to forget that. All right, my dears. Oh my God, it's our last time through in 30 seconds. Man, after a full minute or after even 45 seconds, 30 seconds just feels so luxuriously short, does it not? Oh my goodness. Woo, this exercise is no joke. Man, every time I go into it, I'm just like, oh wow, we're really working ourselves there. The old alternating one-legged squat. Woo! But it also gives you a nice stretch along your hamstring, and that's something I always appreciate when you have an exercise that comes with its own stretchy portion in it. But now we're finishing out our TikToks and go back to those burpees. I'm gonna hold off for myself, but remember, when you do that wave push-up, keep your elbows in by your sides, okay? We're not letting them fan open. Keeping them by your sides focuses the work on your triceps. That's what we're going for, okay? Unless I tell you otherwise, for any sort of push-up in my class, that's always what I'm going for. And nice big victory claps at the top, and now back to our cross jacks. All right, woo-wee. Okay, everybody's doing such a great job. Such a great job. We are really close. I promise, we are super close. We just got 10 minutes left. And then I'll do a little stretching with you, I think. Actually, I can't do a stretching sequence today, unfortunately, but I promise to make it up to you tomorrow and next week if you're only able to come once a week. But what we're gonna end with is gonna be toe squats. And if you're like, Blanche, we ended with those last week, you're right, we did. And we're doing it again this week. I want you to think about what has changed in your experience of them over the last week. If they feel easier, if they feel harder, if it takes longer before you feel, intense sensation in your quads or cramping in your feet, pay attention to what's changed. We're still doing them at the end of class, so it's still a pretty similar experience, but you had time for a lot of the work that you did from last week to really settle into your body and to start to, impact changes. So yeah, pay attention to how you feel. I'm betting it will feel easier. All right, so if you've not done toe squats before, we take our feet in a hip width stance. All right, and I'm going to show you from the side now. Our goal, so we're keeping our back as straight up and down as possible. And if I do that and I start to squat, I can only really get here unless I do something different, okay? I can't really get past here, the darn Achilles tendon. So I'm going to let my heels come all the way off the ground so that I come all the way down to this position. I'm balancing on the balls of my feet and my legs are fully bent. I've brought my arms up at the same time, so they're pointing up. And then I stand and come back here. And we're just going down and up and down and up. So things to think about: keep your core engaged to manage the weight of your torso so it's not jerking around anywhere unexpected. Make sure that gravity does not control you. You control the motion. So we don't want to go down so fast that we're bouncing around at the bottom. Okay, that's really bad for your knees. So even if I'm going quickly, I want to be in control of the motion at all times, okay? All right, we're gonna turn on that 10-minute timer and we are gonna get ourselves going. There's only gonna be one horn midway through. That's just to tell you you're midway through. All right, my dears, you're cross-jacking your way over to your mats. As soon as you hear that horn, we begin with our toe squats. We're not going for a specific number today, okay? We're just going to get through the entire 10 minutes. So, but we're not taking the rest, or rather, if you want to take rests, you can, but they have to be active rests, okay? Not stretching rests, not standing rests. So either you are legitimately trying to keep squatting for the entire 10 minutes, or you do a certain number of reps, maybe 20, maybe 30, maybe 50, and then you go, okay, I'm just gonna go, and I'm gonna do this to rest, you know, at least give my muscles something else to do, something else to focus on, and then come back and start doing this again. So it's really intense in perpetual motion, okay? But remember, this is our last work interval. These are our last 10 minutes of movement. You are so close, my friends, and you have been doing such a great job, okay? You've been working so hard for this entire last hour. You haven't gotten to stop moving in the way that you usually do. Hopefully you've still been drinking water, but it's still intense. Remember that marathon mindset. We are still moving and we still have the energy to do so, okay? So all you need to do is get through this last 10-minute timer. That is all you have left. And maybe today you surprise yourself. Maybe today you legitimately can do toe squats for the entire 10 minutes. That's so cool. That's so cool. And if you're not there yet, that's fine. It took me over a year to get to a point where I could legitimately do toe squats without stopping for an entire 10-minute timer. It took me over a year, okay? So I've only been teaching these classes since late March, early April. So really, if you're not there yet, don't worry. Don't worry, you've got plenty of time. But you'll get there. You will absolutely get there, because that's the other thing about exercise. We tend to hit these plateau points, you know, and I'm sure that you all know what I mean. You start a new program and you feel all of these really incredible improvements in the first couple of weeks, and you're just like, oh my God, this feels amazing. It's so cool. And all this stuff that my body can do is so cool. And then you hit a point where it feels like no matter what you do, you are there's a hill in the way and you just can't get over it. And part of the reason that happens is when you start a new activity or a new class or a new program, a lot of those early gains are neurological. So your brain is laying down pathways so that it doesn't have to spend as much conscious processing power on just, how the heck do I do this exercise? Once it can move that into unconscious processing, then it can focus on challenging itself a little bit more. And so that movement, as your brain sets down those subconscious processing pathways and then goes, all right, cool, now to up the ante a little bit, that's where we see a lot of our initial gains. What happens next is our brain hits the point where it figures out how to achieve the desired goal with a baseline level of energy output, okay? Your brain is always trying to help you conserve energy for when it's really needed. And your brain's definition of when it's really needed is when there's a tiger running after you, okay? So that's why sometimes our brains can really get in the way, because they're over here going, what the heck are you doing? We need that energy if a tiger starts running after us. Stop expending it right now when there's nothing chasing us. And so in service to that, our brain is like, all right, hey, that's the halfway point. Oh my goodness, 5 more minutes left. 5 more minutes left for me to tell you fun stories about tigers. So in service to that, our brain goes, okay, here we are. This is what level of energy I need to expend to be able to get through class. Cool, I've figured it out, and now I don't have to push any harder because I know exactly how much energy I need to get through these activities in the allotted amount of time. And so that's the plateau, is your brain going, all right, I'm just gonna relax now. I'm just gonna coast and enjoy myself. And so that's the point where we need to step back in, okay? Our brain has done its work figuring out how to do the exercises. We don't need to put our energy into that anymore. So when we hit that plateau point, that is when we start talking about how we can progress farther. And generally, there are a number of different approaches. And you mix and match depending on your goals, your physical health, the activity that you're doing, etc. So generally when you're like, okay, now is the time for me to up the ante because I feel like I've really plateaued. Ways that you can do that include upping the number of reps that you do in a given work interval, upping the number of overall sets that you do. If you're doing weighted exercise with machines or free weights, upping the amount of weight that you use, or reducing the amount of rest time that you take. Again, depending on the structure of your workout. And so that's where I come in as a teacher and as a personal trainer, for people who do actually want some one-on-one guidance. My goal there is to be like, okay, how do we safely start increasing your challenge so that you can achieve your goals, so that you're not feeling like you are stuck in this plateau. And the fact of the matter is too, another way to get past the plateau, simply time. There have been so many exercises, and this honestly used to be one of them, where I've just felt like I was just up against a wall for ages. And, no matter what I didn't feel like I was improving, didn't feel like I, still felt like I could barely make it through my goals in terms of number of reps, number of sets, etc. And it really just sort of felt like it changed overnight, honestly. And another way to push past the plateau, and this seems counterintuitive, but another way is moving on to a totally different focus point, totally different exercise, and then coming back to this later. Giving your body a chance to settle, giving your brain a chance to do a little more of that processing, cross-training so that you're building up other muscle groups so that when you come back, maybe you have stronger muscle groups in other areas that are assisting you in being stronger at this activity. That's why I talk a lot about the importance of rest, of building rest days and rest weeks into your schedule, making sure that you are not trying to work out 24/7, 365. Our bodies need rest just as much as they need movement, and rest, honestly, can be one of the best things that you can do for yourself and for improving your performance. When your body needs to take a break, give it that break. And more often than not, when you come back from that break and you get going again, you will notice, whoa, I do feel stronger. I do feel more stable, more powerful, more confident. And it was just that your body just needed some time to relax. Hey, speaking of relaxing, that was the final horn, my friends. The class is over, and you can officially stop cross-tracking. Woo, woo, woo! Oh, good job, my friends. Please grab your water bottles. Make sure you are drinking plenty of water. Oh, yeah. Great job today, everyone. Awesome class. I'm so sorry I can't run a stretching sequence today, but I have a lot of stretching sequences at the ends of some of the previous streams, so if you hop over to the YouTube channel and just skip to the last 10 to 15 minutes of the video, you can absolutely follow along with one of those. And I'm also going to be doing some videos for stretch sequences also for the YouTube channel, so that, you know, when we have days like this where I do need to go without running one at the end of class, you can hop over to the channel, just pull up a stretching sequence video and follow along with that and get the same benefit. I do recommend taking some time to stretch yourself out at the end of class. Just helps you to take care of your muscles, helps you to improve your flexibility at a time where your muscles are much more pliable and malleable, and just feels really good. All right, my loves. So this was the kickoff for this week. So we've still got 3 more classes to go. Tomorrow afternoon at 4:30 Mountain Time is Jump Around, our cardio class. Don't worry, there is rest in that one. Friday at 6 p.m. we've got Functional Home Fitness, where we do weight training using objects you can find around the house. And Saturday morning is our weekend kickoff class. So I hope that I will see you back on the stream for one or more of those classes. You can follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Facebook and Insta at Blanche Case Fitness, Twitter at Blanche C Fitness. I do, as I said, have a YouTube channel where I store the VODs from this channel. So go find Blanche Case Fitness on YouTube, subscribe to that channel, and you can always access these classes even after the stream is done, or if you weren't able to make class and still really wanted to take it later, they are available in perpetuity up there. If you enjoyed yourself and feel financially able to send me a couple of dollars, donations are always appreciated, never required. I do have a Ko-Fi page at Blanche Case Fitness, but again, not in any way required. I just enjoy having people here. And if you want to help me grow this channel, want to help me grow this community, want to keep taking fun classes and maybe start seeing some additional streaming content here, then please follow this channel, this Twitch channel. We're having a lot of fun. We've got a lot of stuff coming down the pipeline, and I'm really excited to share it with you. So thank you for being here. Thanks for working out. Go take that celebratory shower, drink some more water, eat some food, and hopefully I will see some of you back here tomorrow. Mwah. Have a great night.